SmashFactor.
Ripping driver, going for it. Oh my goodness. How about that tee shot?
That is crazy how far that is.
Wow. John Daly, take a back seat, big fella. How about that drive?
That's an aggressive line. That is beyond long.
Look at this, he's just driven the green. He has just driven the green.
I guess hello world, huh?
Welcome everybody to episode 94 of the SmashFactor, the 2020 American Express, also known as the Bob Hope, also known as the Desert Classic. Not real sure. I'm surprised they didn't put something on it like American Express Challenge or Classic. It's just, as far as I know it's new. It's just called the American Express. Beautiful Monday, not really here in San Antonio for this kind of weather, but great Monday overall. Good weekend. Gups Corner community crushed last night between NFL and golf. Golf did really well overall in the community, so it's always exciting to see that and helps the process go better and feel good about everything you're doing. So that was awesome to see. Great football games. We are coming to you a little early, try to squeeze this in before the national championship game. We will get it posted right before then give you guys all tonight and tomorrow to listen to it. Probably shorter, a little bit shorter pod, 35, 40 minutes, somewhere in that range, as this week's kind of a quirky one in itself. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a little bit about strategy and diversifying when it comes to the Pro-Am, the 3 different courses and such. Quick review of last week. It was okay for me. Not DK was not good. I didn't do much. Had 3 total lineups, 2 in the 444, and then I always do 3 in the Mayo. Obviously great contest being rake free. I went Patrick Reed. He was -1 in the top 5 or 10 or something like that going into. Pull this up real quick. Going into Friday, the last thing on my mind was him missing the cut, and he shoots, I think, +5 or something like that. So, I know some of the guys will say, well, it was obvious because he putted terrible the week before that, and that's not irrelevant to me. I would still play him again overall. Putting wasn't necessarily the issue this week. He just wasn't all the way around. He just made a few mistakes that he couldn't overcome. Had every chance, even late. If he'd have made the birdie putt, I think on 16, and then he had the eagle putt on 18. He had 3 holes there in the last 6. He easily could have got into that. Not easily, but he could have made the 3 and got in 3 birdies and got in and made the cut at +1, which I don't know how well he would have done. So I'm not going to act like that was the end all be all. The other guys I had were great. 4 or 6 isn't going to get anything done. I had Cam, M, who we'll talk about in a second, destroyed me Sunday. Morikawa, he destroyed me Sunday. A lot of guys that were in the top 10. Had Palmer in my lineup. So pieces were right, just didn't get them all together. The overall top 40 rankings that I put out with the final betting card, but are there every week, were solid. I think it was like over 85% of the 40 made the cut or something like that. I had to go back and add it all up, but it was good overall. Speaking of the bets, I kind of mentioned, did hit the top 5 on Palmer, so that was a good cash, 14-1, I believe. Lost the full tournament bets on Morikawa and M, and I believe M was the 2-star. One of them was a 2-star. Yeah, it was M. Literally on within the last 2 holes of each of them Sunday. Led the entire tournament. Morikawa was over Matsu, and I believe M was over CH3. Morikawa's got a 3-footer on 18 to win the match over Matsu, even though he dominated the whole week, but it came down to that, and he 3-putts. So not only does he not, he goes from winning it to tying it to losing it in 3 strokes from 3 feet. So that was brutal to watch. And then him, the triple on, I believe it was 16, really did him in. He was ahead of CH3, then tied with him, and then went away after that. So 2 bad losses there at the very end, but that's golf. Nothing you can really do about it. Had some outright sweats there Sunday. GMAC caught fire. We had him at 100-1, released it Friday night. Sung Jae was on my original card. Obviously, going into Sunday, he was still alive. And if you'd have told me that I think it was -11 got you in the playoff, I would have definitely thought he had the capability of going low that day and getting it. And then Palmer, I think probably be regurgitated in the industry. So I try not to hit on the stuff that you guys will hear over and over. But I think if he had known for a fact that a birdie probably gets him in the playoff, potentially win it on 18, he doesn't hit the 3-wood out of the bunker. I think everybody agrees to that. So he was right there sweating his ticket 80-1. So overall, pretty good positioning considering the tournament and the delays and rain, all the quirkiness we talked about last week. I'll take it. DK was terrible just because of that. The strategy and the pool and everything I was happy with as I reviewed it last night, but just didn't, pan out. And that's just what it is sometimes. As always, 2020 site sponsor and show sponsor Super Draft. Use the code GUP, get $10 bonus when you deposit your first $10 with them. Take that $20, put it in play. Whatever you win is yours. You can walk away. You can keep playing it. Doesn't matter. No rollovers. Great side. I think the community is really catching on to it. Saw several screens from them as well that did well in the golf and a little bit of football. I think guys are enjoying it. D-Rock's covering it, doing it well with some rankings every week. They are integrated into our PGA tools and content. So we have rankings. They're in the lineup builder. They're in the tools if you have access to the PGA Research Center, all that above. So great site. We're proud to sponsor them. We need to continue to sponsor them to help prove to them that the DFS golf industry is as big as we told them. And the more people we get over there, and this is free money to go try it out, we can get those pots up, especially as we march towards the Masters. So once again, the code GUP, when you download that app, use GUP, get a free $10. Check it out, see if you like it. We have all the information on the site as far as content if you want to, check that out to help guide your way the first few weeks as you get used to it. As mentioned last week, in the last 2 weeks, new season, new tools. The PGA Research Center is live, constantly updating and enhancing it as we go through our I wouldn't say soft launch because it's a full launch, but we definitely are continuing to improve it over these first 6 to 8 weeks. We really penciled to get everything kinked, worked out. We could have done a soft launch, but we thought we had enough there. Let's get it out and work through it with you guys feeding back, and you guys have done well. So the members there, if you have questions, concerns, thoughts, you can go to the pound site feedback, let us know. We're documenting it all. We got a punch list going, and our goal is to kind of get all this worked out as we march towards like the players, masters, and all of that. So far the feedback's been great. We appreciate it. This is your last chance to join for 20% off anything on the entire site with the code Hawaii. It will end overnight tonight. Probably will be lenient and wait till I get up in the morning to cut it off. But sometime before tomorrow, midday, noonish, that code will disappear and you will lose your chance to get 20% off. It's been awesome. Go check out Gup's Corner at Gup's Corner on Twitter. My feed, you can see last night, several winning screens. Tambo's learning how to use all the tools and has killed it the first 2 weeks. Shipped the $9 yesterday, did well in NFL. Not that the golf tools relates to that, but the product, the content, the tools, the community, it's all there, and it's hot fire right now. So it's a great time to join, especially to get 20% off anything you want there. I do have a video that I'll embed in the podcast link here. You can go check out if you want to see, hey, what's this all about? And last chance to get 20% off any merchandise as well with the code Aloha. So Hawaii for the subscription packages and Aloha for merchandise. So take care. Do that tonight. Help us out there. Goes a long way, and us being able to continue to support you guys and grow the company and the brand. Finally, before we get into it, the Honda giveaway, as you guys well know, it's starting to buzz now that we're close to being done with football. National championship tonight, as I mentioned, and then 2 more weekends of NFL. Gupscorner.com/challenge can tell you all about it. You can earn 7 tickets into a drawing to get you an all-inclusive trip, flight, lodging, tickets to the Honda, tickets to the DFS Open, as far as your entry fees paid for already. Everything's included. to join the Gups Corner team. So we got a house out there 3 miles away from the course. We're going to play golf Friday. We're going to play in the DFS Open Saturday. The Friday night is the DFS Open kind of get together, kickoff party. Sunday, we have club passes for the Gups Corner team in the winter. So it's going to be awesome. Well worth your time. Easiest way to get it. You have to be a member. You have to be an annual member. So whoever wins it has to be an annual member. But the first step, rate and review us on iTunes. That gets you a ticket right there. If you're a current member, you earn all 7 as well. So it doesn't have to be a new member only. So current members or new members joining. If you have the full access site membership, you got 3 tickets there. The rate and review is a ticket. If you buy the combo merchant price, the combo merch package, that's a ticket. And then you get all 6, and the 7th is a bonus. So it's pretty easy to add them up really quick. You can get them done in about 10 minutes if you want to. If you already have a combo package and you have the full access pass and all that, you already have those tickets. We get you in the drawing. That's done. If you're not a member yet, great time to join and you get into the drawing and your chance to win. Listener League is up. You can go check it out on at Gups Corner on Twitter. I will also have it in the pod description when we post this. Last week's winner was one thing. Was Jenny Wap with the nice Gups Corner avatar. I love that. He had Answer, Connors, Kisner, Palmer, Smith, and Zach Johnson. Obviously a great lineup. Well balanced overall. Didn't take nope, nobody in the 10K, so went balanced overall. Lowest price was probably Palmer, 7,500. So kind of a cash-less lineup, but didn't really hit on any chalk. I mean, Palmer was kind of high owned and talked about in the industry, but solid lineup by him, 510.5 points. Congrats to Jenny Wap. Get in this leagues, fill it up quick. I've already posted it out early, so you guys can get in there and check that out. We'll get into the tournament preview now for the Amex, I guess what everybody's going to call it. I'll be interested to listen to the other pods and see what everybody's going with. We're at La Quinta, California. 3-course setup, as I mentioned. Before I go into my details, as always, go check out the Fantasy DGen podcast. Tambo and Kenny, who are both part of the website, do a podcast over there. Kenny goes in depth on the course history, course breakdown, if you will. So go check out his preview on that podcast. And he also writes up articles for us on the site. So you can get his exclusive information by joining as well, as always, as Tambo, who's been a part for a couple of years now. PGA West, Stadium Course, all these are par 72, all around 7,100, some a little longer, some a little short. Stadium Course by far is the beast of the 3. The Nicholas Course and La Quinta is 2 of, if not the 2 easiest on tour each and every year, pretty much. Expect nothing different this year with what looks to be a pretty awesome week weather-wise. I don't think we're going to have to worry about any rain, any delays. A little bit of wind here or there, but too early to kind of judge wind, but nothing like crazy sticking out. So I think it's going to be a kind of a traditional tournament, minus 25, 26, 28 type winner this week. So a lot of scoring for sure. Starting on the La Quinta and Nicholas course has historically given you an advantage. But keep in mind, it's generally the better wave because especially La Quinta on Thursday, that's probably the best advantage, but that's also tends to be the better players, quote unquote, ranking wise, or guys they want to see on TV come Saturday, because the TV coverage on mainstream of the Pro-Am is on Saturday. So, it's a 3-day rotation, 54-hole cut. It is a Pro-Am, longer rounds, a lot to take in there. Sunday will be, T65 still, they'll cut down to, but these guys are guaranteed 3 rounds unless they withdraw. So that takes into consideration a little bit. Another reason for the La Quinta or Nicholas course is obviously because of how easy they are. People can get up to a good scoring lead and not feel as much pressure going into Saturday to make the cut. So that's another reason you could go that rotation. And you get to play the Stadium course back-to-back. So the Saturday, Sunday guys get to play it back-to-back, so it gives them a better chance Sunday when it actually comes down to winning the tournament. Be interesting to kind of see how it turns out this year. That's been historically good. Does it mean if a great player is starting on Stadium course, like I'm not going to play them. No, not necessarily. I mean, some years weather gets thrown in and all this, and then it's just a mess. Traditionally, I play this week a lot lighter. There's just a lot going on. A lot of variables. Don't really know, who's paired, all that kind of stuff. Just, I'd rather have bankroll at tournaments where it's more cut and dry than what it is here. I still play for sure. And I'll see how the model everything comes out in the shake. And if I feel really good about something, I'll still shoot at it. But in general, there's a lot of variability this week that you got to take into consideration. As I mentioned, no weather concerns on my end. As of now, I'll update that. I also will update my rankings and such. Once they have the rotation out, I basically re-put out the rankings I did this last year that breaks down. Basically, we'll take the rankings per each course setup. So, if they're starting on stadium, here's the rankings. In case you want to do like some stacking or something like that, it helps you visually see it without having to scroll back and forth or whatever. So I'll put that out as soon as tee times are out. Should be out tomorrow at some time, so maybe tomorrow night. Cut average is around -6. I'm going to go -7 this year. I'm bumping it up 1 to 2 depending on the tournament. It could even hit -8 depending on probably -8 would be my number, because remember, 2 reasons. 1, T65, but 2, because they play 3 rounds, it's a higher cut number because they've already, more chances to score per se. The winning scores been around 22, 23. I don't think it's ever been below 20, at least I think I went back 7 years looking. So it's always been -20 or higher. I'm going to say it's going to be about -27 this year as the winning score. Last year was Adam Long, -26. The previous 4 years was Rahm, Garcia, Willett, and Rory. So you can kind of see there you got Adam Long out of nowhere. I think he was 4 or 5, maybe even 600 to 1 to win. Rahm and Rory, powerful, elite. Garcia, in his prime, did well. I wouldn't say prime necessarily, but he was doing well at that time. And then, what I find interesting is Garcia won around the same time. He won here around the same time he won the Masters, and Willett as well. He won here. I looked it up earlier. I can't remember. It was right before or right after. I think it was right after the Masters. So Willett won the Masters, and the next year won this tournament. I think Garcia was the exact same. Don't quote me on that. I didn't finish that research. Obviously short on time, going a little early tonight. But, so not that means anything. It just kind of stood out to me. But short end of it, virtually any kind of player could be here. It really comes down to wedges and putting. Who's going to hit their wedges the best, striking the ball the best, and who's going to putt the best. Fairways are pretty forgiving, especially on the 2 easy courses. Stadium, you can get in trouble. You can get some big numbers there. So, you want guys that are hitting it good off the box, at least hitting fairways, giving themselves chances at birdies. You could argue bogey avoidance comes in, and I may use that in showdown, let's say Sunday, because I think it'll matter Sunday, whereas for the full tournament, it's not enough to put it in there. And 2 things on that. Normally books don't do first round leaders, and if they do, betting wise, they'll only do it course specific. I really stay away from that for the most part. And what I'll do with that percentage of my bankroll is I actually will play round 1 showdown this week, more than likely, because unless something changes, DraftKings normally has everybody in round 1, no matter what course you're starting on. It really gives you an advantage if you load up on one of the first 2 courses, La Quinta or Nicholas. If you load up on Nicholas, you probably even get more of an edge, because I think most people will, if they strategize or think outside the box, they're going to go to La Quinta. So no one wants to play the stadium course, guys, which makes sense, obviously. So we could have some strategy there, and I'll try to isolate that to do a round 1 showstoppers, and kind of use my bankroll I would have used on first round leader for that round 1, because there is a clear advantage in playing it this week. For me, key stats, I'm looking at par 5, DK scoring, or scoring in general, however you want to look at it. Approach proximity, scoring opportunities inside 18 feet. Birdies are better, and ball striking in general, just a little bit kind of pretty basic for the most part. Who's hitting their wedges good, who's hitting them close, who's giving themselves the most opportunities, who's taking advantage of par 5s, who's scoring birdies, and then just overall ball strikers. So that's kind of the mentality I have this week. Looks like around 44 guys haven't played this since 2014. They may have played it earlier than that, but I try to look at the last 4 or 5 years. So decent amount, full field, 156 guys. So decent amount there that hasn't played it. Like Fowler hadn't played it since 2014-ish. He may have played it earlier. I just didn't go back. So something to keep in mind, but not the end all be all. Pretty easy courses overall. I wouldn't worry about a guy that hasn't played here. Maybe use tiebreakers for guys that have played this. Not really as much as for the course, but also for just understanding the flow, the pro-am, the long rounds, all that kind of stuff may have an advantage, but doesn't, again, it's anecdotal, not end all be all. So keep that in mind. If you're new, we go to the Dirty Dozen now. I have 4 tiers of 3 picks, 9K and above, 7,600 to 8,900, 7,500 or less. And then the 4th tier is a flop, a fade, and a sleeper. Flop is someone I don't think will return their value. A fade is just a guy you want to fade because of ownership, because of situation, because of whatever. You don't think he likes the course, can be anything. And then sleeper is kind of favorite play under 6,900 or less. I did try to go a little more this week with the true. There's several I like under 6,900. But I try to go with a true under 6,900 that may not be, just on the radar of everybody this week, just so it wasn't chalkish per se. So with that, let's go to the 9K. Sorry about that. Okay. So 9K or above, I'm going to go with M. Interested to see how chalky he is or isn't. Obviously melted there at the end a little bit, but still played a great tournament overall. Hung in there in kind of tough conditions, not easy flowing for him, and just hung around, right? He was there. Finished T21, but he had a chance. He did play here last year, which I like, and he finished 12th, which I like. 11,000 is a lot for him, and maybe the sticker price will shy some away. So I'm interested to kind of hear where the pulse of the industry goes there. But I think I'll go back to M for sure, and potentially one and done as we get to that towards the end of the pod. My next is Wolf, 9,000. Hasn't played here. Not real concerned with his demeanor, the way he is. T11 at the Tournament of Champions. The only thing he's really played in the last 6. 12th in my stat models. Hits the ball great. Scores great. Number 1 in the field in par 5 DK scoring for me. You could worry about his approaches and proximity, so that would be kind of the worrisome. But I think he does well in easier events. And so those first 2 days, I could see him going really low. Maybe worried about him finishing strong. I'm not worried. I think he can win any event he plays this year. But, I'll get to my fade in a second. But I think this guy may be a guy to go to in that price range at 9K. Next two, I had kind of a 3A, 3B. I'm going to go with Kokrak, 9,100. I think he'll be lower owned than most. He hasn't played since the WGC, which he finished 8th, so that was solid. He's played here 4 of the last 5 years, a 48th, a cut, and then the last 2 years he's played great, an 8th and an 18. Really, really good last year with his irons and short game and stuff like the approach side of it. So I like that about him. I don't like he's coming off kind of a break, so that's the one worrisome part. But for the leverage you may gain there, I do like him. My 3B, which will come down in the round table, was Finau. He's real close to me wanting to play him. I think maybe if he's low owned as well, because people go, oh, he can't even win the whatever Hong Kong he was in last week, and they just move off of him. I'll certainly don't mind going to Finau. Second tier, 7,600 to 8,900. These are pretty clear cut to me as far as top 3. There's a lot I like in here, but top 3 is English. Played here 3 of the last 5 years, always made the cut. T11 in there, T30. Stat-wise, he's 6th. Recent form, he's 9th. He finished 5th at the OHL for me. $7,700. I just like how he lines up here. Definitely a guy I like. Don't mind him betting-wise either. Glover. I really like Glover this week. He'll be my free bet of the week here when we get to that. 60 to 1. I think he can win it, right? So a guy that's 60 to 1 that I think I can visualize a way to him getting there. This is the kind of tournament that a Glover could win, in my opinion. He's played here the last 5 years for sure. A 15th, a 17th, a 41, a 29, and a 12th. So always made the cut, always finished strong. Just kind of tells me he likes this course, likes the situation, no issues with that. He's not the strongest on the stat board for me, but he's still top 30. So at 8,200, I don't mind him. Ryan Moore's next. Hasn't played here at all in a while. He withdrew in 15. I was going to check to see if he'd played here before that. Stat-wise, I like how he lines up here. His game kind of suits this place. Put it in the fairway. If his irons are hot and he gets a putter, he could definitely win this thing. So 8,300, I like Ryan Moore. 7,500 or less, my favorite play is Cameron Tringali. Excuse me, has played 3 of the last 5 years. T30, T14, then 2 missed cuts back-to-back, then a T51 last year, so 3 out of 5 cuts. Fall swing ended good, made the cut at the AOHL with the T66, then the RSM at T20. Stat-wise, again, kind of like Glover, not just crazy, but good on approaches. So his approaches is well. Par 5, he doesn't do as great. Ball striking's good. Scoring opportunities is good. So I really like him at 7,100. If he gets a hot putter, he definitely can contend this week. Bud Cauley's my second favorite in this range. Missed the cut last year, but before that, he was 4. And remember last year, I believe, I have a note to check this by Wednesday, but I believe he was coming off the whole injury and all that stuff around this time. So he missed the cut last year, but before that, T14, T3, and a T14. He did miss a cut last week, but I like that he played at least. So, whatever rust he may have, maybe you shook it off. 7,300, pretty cheap price. Seems to like the course based on, history here. His game, when he's at what we've seen his peak, certainly fits this kind of setup. So I like Bud Cauley 7,300. Last but not least, Bronson Burgoon, a Team Gup standard. I at least will have a FOMO on him at 175 to 1, but I like that he's played here 3 out of 4 years. I didn't realize that. T34 in 16, T42 in 18. He did miss the cut last year. T33 at the OHL recently, then he missed the cut at the RSM. So he has a little more risk, but at $6,800, they're always going to have risk. He's kind of opposite of, Glover and those guys I said. His stats look great. The rest of it, you're kind of like, man, he can miss a cut or he could top 20 this thing any given week. But as a $6,800 guy, he'll be in the short list for my player pool. Last year, the flop, fade, and sleeper. My flop this week, I don't know if he's going to be high owned or not. It's more just a price deal. It kind of stood out to me. I didn't, I don't know how he's going to come in here and what he's going to look like. But Molinari, I don't, 9,200. I know he's played the Euro, so I need to check that. He played here 15, 16, 17, and he hasn't recently. I don't know if that's because he was playing Abu Dhabi, which obviously we'll touch on a little bit at the end. But, I'll check that. But he may have went over there, got a little bit of the money that they hand out for that deal, especially coming off the open win. When he did play here, he wasn't bad. Top 10, top 12, top 62. His game suits up here. I expect at 9,200, especially as popular as he's been at times, that he could be kind of high owned. People go, man, I'll take Molinari 9,200 steady, feel safe that he'll make the cut and can contend for sure. And I agree with all that. Him and Horschel were the two I were kind of deciding between, but I went with Molinari at the end. He didn't show me enough in the year that tells me his game's back. So I kind of want to see it before I believe it. My fade, and this is strictly ownership because I think he will be high owned, is Scotty Scheffler. I think the tournament and stuff situation sets up great for him. We hadn't seen him in a while, and he was definitely hot during the fall swing. A lot of people liked him, played him a lot. Nothing bad to say about him. He finished 18th at the OHL, 5th at the RSM. Like I said, he was high owned in those. Strictly ownership deal. If for some reason he's not talked up and he's kind of passed upon, then I certainly don't mind going there, but I expect him to be one of the higher owned in the 9K. So it's an ownership fade for me. And then my sleeper is Mr. Josh Teeter. Played him several times, in the late in the year last year, $6,300. His game's there he can do it if he gets high. Stat-wise, he pops really well for me. Limited size, mind you, but he's there, right? He's got the capabilities. He missed the cut at the RSM. One thing I did like about him is that he did play here last year, made the cut in the top 40. So if you're dipping down low, that's kind of like a sleeperish pick for me. There's some other 6K guys I like and like a little more than him, but I'm trying to use this more as yes, it's 6K, but also off the radar per se. So Teeter's the guy as of now that's kind of my sleeper. Kind of roundtable wrap up. Guys I didn't really mention, but I still like I mentioned, Finau, don't mind him. Fowler never played here. Certainly suits his game. You know, he in his personality, you know, he gets along with fans in general. I could see him playing really. I could see him winning this. Obviously, he's probably the favorite or co-favorite or up there. I didn't 11-1. Yeah, he's probably the favorite. So Zhang, I don't mind going back to him. He burned me last week, and I'm sure he burned some others. He has missed 2 cuts in a row, though. RSM and this, they were spaced out. He played here in 18 and missed the cut. So a little worrisome there, but 6,400, especially MME, I would have some of them. I don't know if I get there in 1 to 3 builds. I don't know if I can trust him fully that way. But if I'm doing 20, 30, 40, 50, I like saying Harrington, we were on him last week. I liked him. Barely made the top 40 in my final, but no one, I mean, he was, I don't know if anybody mentioned him, but he, you know, made the cut right there at the end for me as far as a player, that final 40 that I post with the betting. He didn't really get a bump, 6,500. He made the cut, and he was up there for a while. Didn't fare too well at the last 2 rounds, but T57. He's made 3 straight cuts now, going back to the fall swing, so I don't mind him. Vaughn Taylor, I suspect him to be chalky this week. He got a T7 here, T41 here. He's coming in as one of the best in form, T2, T10, T12. So $7,900 seems too cheap for him, but I definitely don't mind taking a look at him. Brian Harmon, I like. Played good last week. T32 last week. He's played great here. 3 straight years where he top 20 or better with the T3 in 2017. Russell Knox, don't mind going back there. Played great last week. Played good. Joel Dahman, we definitely like. Team Gup member as well. T12 last week after starting, I think he was 4 or 5 over on the first front 9 Thursday, something like that. Fought his way back, made the cut, played well, strong Sunday. If there was such thing as a first round leader this week, he'd be on my radar if he starts out early, especially if he gets a good side of the draw. But only negative on here, he's played here twice, 17 and 18, missed a cut both times. But, you know, a T6 at the OHL, then a T12 last week. I don't mind Damon, but, you know, at 90 to 1 is, but he's 7,200. So, I don't mind him at all. I think you can fit him in. Norlander, I'll go into a little later, but I think he's definitely in play. Probably could be a little bit higher owned. He's playing great, 3 straight great finishes, a T5 and a T9 at the RSM and last week. He has played here before, 16 and 17, so I like that. T50 and 17 after missing the cut in 16. 7,100, certainly worth the look. Armor, another Team Gup guy. They're all here. Armor, HP3, Damon, Burgoon. We can almost build the memory days of 2018 summer, but 125 to 1 betting wise, $77,000 again. Missed the cut, couldn't get anything going. Stat wise, this course is like suited for him. But I say that, and the course fit. He's missed a cut in 15, 18, and 19, but he did make the cut in 17. I don't know if I get there. May just throw a bet on him so I have a little bit of exposure. He definitely would be a FOMO no matter what. Zach Johnson, 7,700. Plays here a lot. He missed 3 straight cuts, 15, 16, 17. Then he finished T10, 20, and T28. So I don't mind that. He's made 3 straight cuts here on the tour with the OHL, RSM, and Sony. So I don't mind that either. 7,700 seems cheap for a guy his caliber. And he can grind out a cut, be there, top 20, 25 on, just like he did last week. Top 28 was well worth his return on price. And then last will be HV3. Coming off he kind of took a break. Hasn't played since the OHL. Didn't do well his first 3 times, 3 straight missed cuts. Played a lot better last year. I think his game's got a lot better. T18. His demeanor for sure fits this kind of deal. Loves being around people and socializing, talking. Stat wise, he's top 20 in my model. The other things, he hadn't played in a while, so the form's hard to judge. Not great history, but being that he finally maybe figured something out last year, I like that. So at 7,000, I don't mind Varner. Overall weekly strategy for me this week, like I said, I'll send the updates once we get the course rotation. That'll kind of be the key for me to kind of maybe some tiebreakers. Weather looks great, no concerns there. I'll give a slight edge to the guys I feel could do better in this environment. You got slow playing with the amateurs, like I said. Like I just mentioned, HV3 is a guy that will. It's not the end-all be-all by no means. It's kind of a tiebreaker thing. So if it's all anecdotal, right? So it's more of, all right, do I think this guy is going to struggle if this is a long, drawn out round? Like, still, I think it bothered him how much he had to wait last week. At the end, obviously he was nervous leading it, so a little bit different. I'll give him credit there, but and he's done well here. So I'll lean on course history for that. But if a guy's never played, that's more what I'm talking about. So like the Wolf, Scheffler, trying to gauge how I think they could do here. I think these young guys, it won't bother him too much. Ricky, I don't think will bother him, right? So not a big deal, but definitely similar to last week. I think you spread out your pool a little bit, especially down low. With getting 3 guaranteed rounds, I think you can tighten up your core a little bit, and then maybe a little bit more flyers, especially MME builds. A lot of guys making debuts this week, not only in this tournament, but hadn't played in 5 weeks, hadn't played since the RSM, hasn't played since the OHL type deal. So these guys have kind of had their winter break. They're coming back. They didn't go on the Hawaii trip, so I definitely think keep an eye on that. Guys shaking off the rust, like a Damon, right? He starts off horrible. He's able to get it back, but some of those guys, especially if they're starting out on a stadium course, it wouldn't be very good. But obviously we may shy away from those guys in general, but use all that information and kind of piece the puzzles together and come up with your player pool this week. We'll be in the Slack obviously throughout the week, and then Sunday or Wednesday night we'll go live to kind of wrap all this up when we have more information. Bookmarks of the week. Lanto Griffin, my notes are there is he just impressed me again. He struggled early, really wasn't catching fire anyways, but then he made the cut. Then he finished strong Sunday, played really great. I really like that in that environment, different deal. He still showed up and ended up being top 10 for sure. I think he finished 7th or 8th, something like that. So I really like his game. Palmer, mentioned Team Gov guy. I really think we're going to see him atop a lot of leaderboards this year. I think his game's improved more steadily as the years have gone on. He obviously got the win with Rom last year in the team event. He played well with HV3 in the QBE, and he's had some good solo performances. So kind of like a Kokrak last year, right? He hit his stride and really played well all year. I could see Palmer having his best solo year on the tour. Obviously, he got a win last year, so that helps him. And maybe that's it, right? We don't know. We can't get in their mind, but maybe that win with Rom that gives him 2 years of that, not having to say, man, I'm going to miss my card, I could lose my blah, blah, blah. We're just completely loosened him up, and now he's just ready to go and really do well. Keep an eye on Palmer. Norlander, a guy that played with Patrick Reed at Augusta State, won the national title there, had a strong fall swing and keeps playing great. He's on my list to keep an eye on as we go through the season. Those are the 3 bookmarks of the week for me. Betting strategy, 50 to 1 or less. I give 2 each on these categories. I like English and Wolf. If I'm going to go down this low, I don't know if I will for sure. Yeah, I do like English a lot, but and Wolf, 30 to 1 is a little short in this field, but I like those 2. Next range up to 80 to 1. Glover, which I gave away as free pick of the week, and then Putnam. I didn't really talk about him much, but he's got the potential and quality to win this. 66 to 1. It seems like a great number. Next range up to 120 to 1. I like Tringali, 90 to 1. Then I like Colley and Norlander, both 100 to 1. Last range, our dark horse range, greater than 120. I like Burgoon, 175 to 1. And then I like Teeter, 275 to 1. And Zane, 225 to 1. Those, and you could top 5 those, really. You don't have to bet the outright if you don't want, but you could throw a few pennies on top 5 and still return a great value. Like we did with Palmer last week. I got good money back there. May have broke our week even. I haven't done the recap yet, but that definitely helped. One and done strategy. I forgot this last week. I feel like a clown. It's our contest, and I just completely left it off. I did mention it Wednesday night. I'm going to do 3 categories each week. Obviously, we only have 1 entry, and so I'm not going to give my pick per se, but my strong play of the week, kind of that top tier guy, I like him. I think a lot of guys used him last week. I almost did. I switched and went Reed, which obviously was a mistake. But I do like him this week up there top. Maybe Fowler because of the field, but with so much volatility in there, I don't know. I like him here. He's on my short list. Kind of mid-pack guy, 8,000-9,000 range if you want to use DK money wise. Wolf, I like Matt Wolf there. Could go under the radar a little bit. I call this the skins play. So, we're playing for skins this year in the one and done. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go read the rules. You're trying to get a guy. You're the only guy that picks that guy that week and he wins. Had some decent one shots last week, actually. And I don't believe anybody picked Steele if he would have won. I don't think anybody had him. But like a Von Taylor, Joel Damon, Norlander, Kokrak, those kind of guys are in this range. So those are the four that I kind of just – one of those kind of guys is what you're looking at when you're looking at that skin play. If you want to go that route this early in the year, this isn't a bad tournament to do that because as we saw last week, Adam Long wins it, right? No one would have had Adam Long at 600-1. It's one of those tournaments where there's so much scoring and craziness, course rotations, all that. This may be a week to try to go off the wall. My last segment before the final thoughts, I'm going to start next week, just a listener Q&A. So what I want you guys to do is DM me on Twitter or Slack if you're in the Slack as a premium member. Just send me your questions on overall DFS strategy, betting strategy, or anything really. Life in general, any kind of questions that based on what you see or that I say or do and you have questions on, let me know. I'll pick 2 or 3 a week and I'll answer them here. If it's, how do I attack this? How do I attack a 20 max, a 3 max, or how do I split up bankroll for X, Y, Z? What do I do with showdown? I mean, whatever it is, you guys send me a DM and I'll pick 2 or 3 each week and we'll wrap the show up with that. As I go solo still trying to catch up. And then I'm going to look into a few people have sent inquiries on podcast partner stuff. So we'll get to that. Not missing you, I promise. I'm not forgetting you. We'll get to you, I promise on that. As always, join Tambo and myself Wednesday night in the chat room. We will be doing 8 o'clock Eastern for the Emergency 9. Coin flip's pretty much done. I think we'll do a special pod for the Super Bowl. I don't know if we'll do one this week, only being 2 games, 4 teams. We'll have our content out for the premium members. We may do just a fun show and talk a little betting strategy, 30-minute pod. I'll let you know on that. But for sure, 8 o'clock Eastern, Emergency 9. Check us out then. Tambo is back from his work trip, so he will join me. Looking forward to that. Last reminder, join gupscorner.com now. Use the code Hawaii, get 20% off. Aloha, get 20% off merchandise. Go check that out. Go check out gupscorner.com/challenge for the Honda Classic all-inclusive giveaway. And gupscorner.com/contest. Always, if you want to look for our upcoming contest going, everything is locked now for the golf season, but we will have more to come. If you're not aware of that, you can click that. Just look around. If you happen to miss it, bookmark it so you don't miss it again. Go ahead and sign up, because if you sign up, you can get on the email list, and then you'll know when the new contests are coming for sure. If you're missing it somehow, there's all kinds of reminders. So I don't know how, but if you happen to, you're just new, which is great. So that's one way to get on the list and let us know. And then check out gupscorner.com/store for all that merchandise I mentioned. Final thoughts tonight. Just short and sweet. I'm going LSU 38-27. I think they pull away late. Physical game up front. I think the physicality and their corners are better than people think. I mean, maybe a lot of people know that. I don't know. I think they'll be able to handle Clemson pretty well. Pretty good competitive game, but I think they pull away late, win by 11, and we close the college football season out. I will see you guys Wednesday night. Have a great night and enjoy the game.
SmashFactor.